Are you ready for the weekend yet? We have events, news, and a guest for you to enjoy this Lake Life weekend. Welcome to Lake Life Weekend podcast, and this is not the wrong program that you tuned into right now. This is actually DJ Wissota, our interview guest today, that we will hear about, and his full story of moving to Detroit Lakes, coming from Wisconsin, and being an internationally successful electronic dance music DJ. So I'm very glad to be able to capture his story, and we learn more about that in a little bit. Thank you again for tuning in. This is already weekend 48 approaching. Unbelievable. But I'm very happy that you are tuning in again. And as always, please go to our website, lakelifeweekend.com, daily updated with stories, news happening in the areas, events, and all those things. Please go also to our Facebook page or follow us on Instagram and leave some comments. Tell us what you think. It's much appreciated. And I don't want to keep this much longer from our interview, and enjoy the music a little bit more.
The same story every time and every place.
Welcome to our interview part. I'm here with Erik Dale. Hi, Erik.
Hi there.
Thank you for coming on this snowy, wintry weekend. You are a Wisconsin native relocated to Minnesota, and you are an artist. You're a music artist, you're a DJ, and you produce music. And I invited you because you made Detroit Lakes your home. Not too long ago, this year 2018, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I moved here in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, just recently, and I would like to learn a little bit about more where you're from, how you came to Minnesota, what you do right now, and then we dive into your art and your work as a DJ. So, tell us, where are you from? You're from Wisconsin. Where there?
I'm from Eau Claire, Wisconsin originally. It's about an hour and a half east of the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a smaller, well, I guess not too small of a town. It's actually pretty big compared to, I guess, towns around here. A little bit smaller than Fargo.
Okay.
But the music scene there is just really, like, thriving. It's very large. I don't know if you, Bon Iver, those guys.
Yeah.
Justin Vernon's actually from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, so they have a very, like, large art scene there.
Okay.
And then, so I was living there. I moved out to Fargo to go to college, and then I lived in Minneapolis for a year after college, and then I actually came back to Fargo.
Okay.
And then moved here with the new job. So.
Okay, and what did you go to college for?
I went to college for advertising originally, and then I also went for music technology and entertainment business.
Okay, and you have always done some music as a child?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Ever since I was a little kid. I've always been involved in music in some format, whether it was like choir or band or things like that. And then I got into electronic music production in high school, and then I started DJing while I was in college.
Okay. And before we talk about music and DJing, what do you do in Detroit Lakes now exactly?
I'm the event and local productions manager for the Holmes Theater.
Okay. And you have arrived this fall, just like 6 months ago?
Yeah, I moved here in August is actually when I first came here. I started working at the theater at the end of May, so I was commuting for about 3 months there.
Okay. And what do you do as the event production manager? What exactly is your role there?
So basically, it's kind of a multi faceted kind of a role. So I work with the tech for all the shows that come in. So like if a band comes into the theater, I contact our tech company and line up everything that we're going to do in terms of sound, in terms of equipment, in terms of lighting. And then the other side of it is working in the event side. So if there's a wedding that comes into the space, if there's corporate kind of events and things like that, I line that up. I deal with all the contracts and making sure that their event goes really well in our theater.
Oh, okay. So from A to Z, you are pretty much the producer of every event.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely involved in terms of like all the tech and then everything in terms of the event side of things. Then we have Amy, who is our main person. She's in charge of overseeing all of the play productions, the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rachel is our graphic design and marketing person, and then Beth is our outreach coordinator. So between the four of us, we pretty much handle all the operations at the theater.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really great experience so far. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. We have a lot of really interesting productions coming up this fall, and coming up into the winter, we're going to have a really good line of Christmas shows that are coming up, so it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, cool. No, that sounds good. I've been there a couple times. I do know Amy. She was here once last year.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, it's definitely an anchor to the community, the Holmes Theater. They put a lot of good stuff on here for everybody.
Yeah, they definitely do. And the Holmes is kind of how I ended up here in the first place. I used to work for Livewire Events in Fargo, North Dakota. So Livewire Entertainment, they're an event production company, so they do everything from like TEDx all the way up to we did the Democratic Convention, things like that. And we also did all the tech at the Holmes Theater. And so working through them, I came across the opening for the job, and I decided that would be a really good fit. And I wanted to kind of move away from the busy road life and kind of settle down a little bit more.
Okay. And the community, Detroit Lakes, do you like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really neat town. There's so much involvement in the community. There's so many different groups and just nonprofits and things like that. It's surprising how involved everyone is in everything that goes on there.
Yeah, that's really true. Actually, it's very beautiful. So now you are a musician, and you just mentioned that since childhood you have been singing. And which kind of instruments do you play? The piano, I assume, or what do you play instruments too?
Yeah, I do. I played a little bit of piano. Mainly, I did a lot of guitar and bass, and then when I was in high school, I actually played the tuba. That was my instrument for when I was in concert band and everything. And then I got into electronic music production, and that kind of increased the amount of work that I did on the piano side of things. And
okay.
So lots of pianos and synthesizers now.
Okay, so how do you end up? Was there a workshop in high school, or just kids trying out this electric stuff, or how did you get in touch with that?
I just kind of came across it. I got into, I was listening to electronic music, and I wanted to figure out, how do we do this? How do I make this kind of music? And the beauty of it is that the internet age, everything is so easy to research. You can go on YouTube and you can find a video for just about anything in terms of how to produce music, how to write music, how to mix it, things like that. And so I kind of went through that kind of a route.
Yeah, okay.
So very self-taught.
Okay. No, I grew up with electric dance music, I guess, in Europe 20 years ago. I mean, techno or any kind of house music, that was just, it's kind of my time. I feel in the United States it arrived maybe, I don't want to say a little later, but it became a little bit more trendy now. Or give us some history. What is electric music, and then how new is it to us here?
Oh yeah, electronic music, it's been around for a very long time. It started off kind of in the 70s disco era, and then it kind of it spread all over the place. It kind of died off here in the US around the 90s.
Right.
In the 90s there was a very large rave movement and things like that, but due to regulations and government and things like that, it kind of pushed it into the underground. And then just recently, in the past I'd probably say the past 7 to 10 years, it's had this huge surge in terms of popularity with the rise of artists that are like reaching top 40 charts, like Calvin Harris and Dead Mouse, and
Right.
it just kind of like, it's crazy how it came from being a very underground niche kind of a thing and then coming back around to being so popular now.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like festivals, club circuit, events, anywhere that you can think of. Even like the smallest towns can have really vibrant electronic music scenes.
Okay, so and it has arrived also in Fargo.
Yeah, absolutely. Fargo has a very strong electronic music scene. We have probably 2 to 3 events almost every week in terms of the electronic scene out there now.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, music to my ears.
Yeah, actually, me and my buddy Brian Noche run Subculture, which is a Wednesday night weekly at the aquarium in Fargo, where we bring in electronic music acts. So this week on Wednesday, we're bringing in a couple of dubstep artists from, actually I can't remember where they're from, but it's the Whittler and Push Loop.
Okay.
And they're very large, deep dubstep kind of artists. So
Okay, I actually unfortunately very disconnected, and I will hope to reconnect through you. But tell us about your art. So you are actually, and that's the highlight, you produce music, and you have some success outside of our local area. So you're successful in the United Kingdom. So you have, tell us about your art and your work.
Yeah, so my DJ name is Wissota. I got really into UK garage and bassline music is what very much like changed how I got into the music scene. I got so obsessed with this genre and creating the music. I found that it just really fit me personally. And so I started writing a lot of different songs, and I got picked up by a smaller label called Riddler Records out of the UK, and that kind of started things. And then from there, I got signed to Project All Out Records, which is my main label now, where I release most of my songs. And that's been it's been so interesting to see how you can make music here and then release it overseas in a different place. And it's surprising because like even like people in like the Midwest won't even know of the fact that I've released this music, but in the UK people know who I am, know my music. So
yes, it is pretty fascinating.
cool.
You're very humble and you're very it's beautiful. So no, wait a second. You have a DJ name, and you actually have a second life in a way. You have a career.
Yeah, essentially.
and you have fans.
Yeah, there's definitely people out there who like my music and support it, and I've traveled around to different cities playing and performing, and so every time I play in a different city, I meet some new people, and it just grows your network, and it's beautiful how much music can connect people in different areas.
So what's your DJ name again?
It's Wissota.
Wissota. And how did you come up with that name?
It's actually from Lake Wissota just outside of my hometown over in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. It's this big, beautiful lake, and it kind of like inspired me because of the fact that like the name of it, Wissota, is kind of this play on words of like Wisconsin and Minnesota, because when at the point in time that I was producing under this name, I was living in River Falls, Wisconsin, but I was mainly performing in Minneapolis. So it kind of like was that play. So
Right. No, I think it's a great name, very suitable. So how long have you been DJing then? Since your early 20s, obviously?
Yeah, yep. I've been DJing about 7 years now.
Okay, and you said just casually, you just said like you have 2 record labels. So you're actually on a contract and you're represented by record labels.
Yeah, I have music that's released on their labels. It's a little bit different with how the electronic music scene works, because instead of like signing yourself with a record label for all of your future releases like you would if you were, say, like a rock band or something like that, I have the ability to just sign certain songs or certain like small groups of tracks like an EP to different labels and just kind of play around. I don't necessarily have to be on one specific place.
Okay. And explain to us like a record label, or like they help you with the distribution and the advertising for your music?
Yeah, exactly. So I send them music. They tell me what they think of it. If they like it, they'll put it out on their label. So they'll release it online to like different online web distributors. My music's on Spotify. It's on Juno Download, Beatport, and it just kind of like, yeah, they help you spread the music. They help you get press and publications to take a look at your music.
So, give us an example. What's your most successful song? Like how many downloads or how many purchases, or how successful is your most successful song?
Well, I've had a couple different releases that reached the top 25 in the UK garage charts on Juno Download, and that's kind of where like most of my tracks have charted. I had 2 different singles that were part of compilation albums that reached #1 in the UK for that genre.
Yeah.
And then my EP that I had that was a self-release, well, not self-release, but it was released through the record label without being a part of a compilation album. That one reached up in the top 25.
Really?
Yeah.
That is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So it's neat to see like your name and like your music listed alongside of all these people that I consider my heroes and people that like I've looked up to for years while I've been writing this music. And it's just wild.
Yeah, no, it is wild. It's good. So you say write this music. Maybe now let's get a little more technical, because I cannot imagine to write. I can barely read music. I mean, can practically not read music. So how do you actually write it by note, or what tools do we have? Synthesizers? Is it all on a computer screen? How does that work? The electric music and writing it.
I mainly write through Ableton Live is my software of choice. It's a digital audio workstation, so it has different things like drum machines and synthesizers, and you can just kind of like build a track from the ground up. You bring in samples of different audio sources, and you just kind of, you build it up. It's kind of just crazy, because I use a keyboard when I write for most part. For like anything that's melodic or musical, I'm actually playing it on the keyboard generally and then recording it in. And then I can modify it and create different tones and different sounds using the synthesizers, and then applying effects and mixing it down. It's all just kind of all in one machine now. It's just crazy.
So you do it at home?
Yeah, yep, I do it at home in my apartment with headphones on pretty much all the time.
So it's one machine?
Yep, it's just my laptop that I use, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So it is that easy? No.
It's not necessarily easy. I mean,
right.
In terms of getting into it, it's definitely like there's a barrier to entry, but anybody could have the ability to make music and produce music in today's current age. It's just so much more accessible with the tools that we're able to use with online resources.
Right.
But from there, it takes a lot of time to get used to doing things that are like, I guess, the right way, or doing things the way that you would want it to do to produce a professional finished product.
Right, no, of course, because there is a certain skill necessary. If I was to scramble some tunes together, it probably would be pain in the ear of the listener. So yes, no, I was not meaning that I could do it necessarily, but you need very little equipment. You don't need a big facility. You can do it with your headphones and with the software that you have, and then it's your talent, your skill, to actually compose it into a melody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what inspires you? How does that work? What inspires you?
It can vary. It could be a sound. It could be I'll be working on like with a synthesizer, creating a different kind of like a tone or a bass and something like that. And I'll design the sound, and I really like it, and I'll find a way to play with that and then make melody out of it. Or else I'm inspired by like different places and things like that. Right now, I know one track that I wrote recently was inspired because I have this like great view out of my apartment window. Okay. I'm on the 3rd floor of this apartment, and it like looks out over these soccer fields, and it's just a really nice scene. And I was sitting there one night, and it was sunset, and there was a soccer game going on outside, so I could hear all the people playing and like the crowds yelling and stuff in the background. And so I was just like super inspired watching the sunset, working on my computer, making music. So
okay.
It was really cool.
So you are inspired by the outdoors?
Yeah, definitely. The outdoors definitely inspire different parts of my projects. I know I have a separate side project called Wishful Venture, and that project is very much based around like my experiences in the national park systems across the U.S. and then like exploring lakes and the woods and the forests and
Okay, what's Wishful Ventures?
it's
Is that
just
music related?
Yeah, it's a music project that I have. It's another like side project to my Wissota project. So I have my Wissota project, which is more of my like UK garage bassline kind of project, and then Wishful Venture is this kind of indie dance project that I do on the side.
Okay.
It's very like atmospheric, kind of like a M83 kind of a thing.
Okay, I have no clue what that means. What's
Yeah.
M83?
M83 is a group.
Oh, okay.
They're a group of musicians. It's just crazy. I don't know how to describe it. So
So, okay, I like that. So, lake life or living here, being connected to nature, that's a big part of your influence, your inspiration.
oh yeah, absolutely. It definitely is. I know it's just like it's been so different since I've lived here now and getting used to things around here and the amount of parks and things that are nearby. It's so great. I can go hiking in the morning and then I can come back to my studio and work at night, and it's just it's been very inspirational living here.
So you don't need to live in a Chicago, in a Minneapolis, in a New York with the hustle and bustle. So you actually are happy in like the remote and rural, like.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, when I perform, I have to travel the city a lot of times, but other than that, like when I'm working on music and everything like that, it helps almost to be away from all that kind of bustle of everything, and just it's inspiring to be out in nature and be closer to nature where I am now.
Right, you can. Yeah, no, I totally see it. I mean, I live here too. We all listening here probably live here, and I can foresee that in a little bit, in a way, that people, especially your generation, are seeking a more balanced life. It's stressful enough, and the ability to actually work and create something around here and ship it over to a United Kingdom and be successful in a totally different spot in the world. Whether you are a graphic designer or if you write books or stories, and now you're publishing music, and I mean that's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's so cool what the internet age of things has done in terms of the ability to just spread an idea across the world in such an easier, simplistic way. Like, we didn't have that ability years ago to like be in contact with people from the UK, and it's just so cool.
I agree. I mean, do you feel, I read that term more and more, do you feel like a world citizen?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely true of people of my age and my generation. Like, it's so much easier to connect with people from other countries and have those kinds of meaningful conversations, whether it's online or like over the phone, things like that. It's so much easier than it used to be.
Right. Yeah, no, we see more, we connect more, we learn more. I like that world citizen term, and I also like about the ability for your generation and our future, because the younger is the future.
Yeah.
That we have barely any borders anymore to overcome. I mean, travel, listening to music. Have you been to the UK and performing live, actually?
No, I haven't actually. I've never performed in the UK.
Oh, really?
I would love to sometime. It's kind of hard to get over there. You have to have you have to have visas in order to travel and everything, so it can be a little bit difficult with the logistics of things, but I would definitely love to get over there eventually, and that's kind of like my dream. So
Have they not invited you yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So what was the furthest in the United States? You said Minneapolis, you say Fargo, I assume Wisconsin, but have you also on the coast somewhere?
No, actually, I've mainly played in the Midwest. I guess the furthest I traveled is actually up to Winnipeg.
Okay.
And that was really cool to play up in Canada.
Is that a scene up there?
Yeah, there's a great music scene up there, actually. They have a really, really good electronic music scene. I really like their music scene more because it's very like house music influenced up there.
Mm-hmm.
While like Minneapolis is more of like kind of bass music, dubstep influenced. I mean, there's definitely techno and house music scenes there, but it's more of the underground side of things.
Okay.
While up in Winnipeg, there's a lot more of a focus on house music, funk music, drum and bass. Like it's just interesting to see the differences in music scenes based off of where you are geographically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see. Where is the nearest EDM festival in our? Is it Michigan? I heard there's a big one in Michigan. Is there festivals in Wisconsin? Or actually, I don't know of any in Minnesota yet. Really, is there big festivals outdoors?
Yeah, there's a lot of different festivals. I guess not so much on like the large scale, like EDC level. That's not so much around here. There's definitely like Chicago and Milwaukee will do those kinds of larger festivals. Out here, actually in Wabin, Minnesota, there's this place called Pure Bliss Ranch.
Okay.
And they do all kinds of smaller scale electronic music festivals there. And
really?
I've played there pretty much every year, and it's a beautiful place.
In Robin?
Yeah, in Wabin. Yeah, it's really cool.
And when is it?
I'm trying to think when the next one is. I think the next one will be sometime in June, I'd imagine.
How many people attend?
It can vary. I've seen up to like 500, 600 people up there. Generally, probably around 200 people at the festivals.
Okay, well that's not too big. And
Yeah.
Could you imagine something like that in our Detroit Lakes area? Could you think that we would attract people to come?
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to do something in Detroit Lakes with electronic music. There's definitely like people from Fargo who would travel over, and people from the Lakes area that would come in. I know me and my friend Darwin Theory, he's from St. Cloud. We played in Vergas, Minnesota. I think it was last year or 2 years ago for their street fair.
You did?
Yeah.
In Vergas?
Yeah, we played in Vergas. Yeah.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
They enjoyed it?
Yeah. There were definitely people there that really liked it, and I know that Jeremy has been back since. So. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm glad to hear. Yeah, I would like to actually see more of that happening here. So we got to talk about that after our recording. I really glad to hear that you're so connected to the outdoors, and I want to hear more about your music. Maybe we can even push some jingle in this recording here. What, if I may ask to close this, what does lake life mean to you? Or like, what do you think of when you think about lake life?
When I think about lake life, I think about the ability to be connected to nature and to be able to be connected to the outdoors while still having these connections of all these smaller communities that are very involved and have so much ideas and so much inspiration in terms of what they want to achieve. So much of these lake towns are on such growing curves. You're seeing so many towns that are just growing through arts and growing through music and growing through just people and the ideas that they spread.
Interesting. So you think of lake life definitely in a community sense.
Yeah, I do.
Top of mind does not come a jet ski.
No.
Or fishing. No, I like that because everybody has their different interpretation, and you're definitely, as everything you said, as you're a very community-driven person, and that's beautiful. Yeah. Say again, where can people see you, hear you? Is it every Wednesday you perform, or you organize an event in Fargo, you said, at the aquarium?
Yeah, so at the aquarium on Wednesday nights, Subculture, we I'll play usually once a month, twice a month out there. Otherwise, you can catch me in Minneapolis, a lot of times in St. Cloud as well.
Where in St. Cloud?
I've played at, it's called the Down Low Concert Series. It's on Thursday nights in St. Cloud.
Okay. And where at? It moves?
It's at the Red Carpet Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in Minneapolis, where do you perform there?
I perform at Skyway Theater a lot, as well as Barfly.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, and then do you have a website, or like do you have a Spotify account? How does that go?
I have a SoundCloud as well as Spotify. You can find me on Spotify as Wissota. Otherwise, I'm on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Wissota Music.
Okay. And people can just tune in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, thanks for coming out, and I'm excited to hear you more.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye. Yeah, this was already our newest episode of the Lake Life Weekend podcast. We sure hope you enjoyed it. Tune in again next week with another great guest and updates. Always check out our website, lakelifeweekend.com, and if you have some comments, please feel free to email us at hello@lakelifeweekend.com, and you have a wonderful weekend ahead.